What's up guys, I'm Pokerface Ash and welcome to my channel. Well, you guys know the drill by now. I'm on my way to Vegas. I'm gonna be there pretty much indefinitely from now until the end of the World Series. Let's do this. Oh my gosh, my friend just surprised me and told me we're staying at Bellagio for 4 nights instead of Valley, so I'm super excited. Let's do this. And tonight I have reservations at Joe's Steakhouse, one of the nicest and best steakhouses in Vegas. I am so excited for this food right now. I am starving. I haven't ate a real meal all day today, so I'm gonna eat some steak and lobster and crab. Let's go.
So after a long day of travel and getting absolutely stuffed at Joe's, it was time to head to sleep and get some rest for the next day because we're here to play some poker. So before I head out to play at the Venetian Survivor Tournament, I like to play a quick practice tournament on advanced poker training. And as I've told you before, their founder Steve Blaze, a big fan of the YouTube channel, and he's helped me get the word out, which I really appreciate. I'll show you guys how it works. Once I log in and click the MTT button, you'll notice that the configuration screen here, I can set up any type of tournament I want to play. I can configure the number of players, minutes per level, starting stack buy-in, and of course the skill level of the bots. Then I get started, and as you can see, I can play a whole practice tournament, and it's super fast because as soon as I fold a hand, I'm instantly dealt into another hand, so an entire tournament only takes like 15 minutes, so I can practice my ranges and know when I should fold, call, or raise, and then I'm warmed up and ready to go. Anyway, I hope you guys will check out Advanced Poker Training. You can try it out for free, and when you're ready to get a paid account, my offer code PokerfaceAsh will get you a big discount. Alright, it's time to go play a poker tournament.
Alright, leaving my room here at the Bellagio to go play a $300 Survivor tournament at Venetian. I really like this tournament, super fun, so pretty much $300, and if you survive to the last 10%, you get $2,500, so a nice payout. Let's go see if we can win this thing.
For all you hand history buffs, don't worry, we're about to get into some cash game hands, but first I wanted to share with you some exciting news for my very first tournament here in Vegas. You start with a 12,000 starting stack. Blinds are 30-minute levels. My last few Vegas trips have been pretty successful, and if you're wondering how my last Vegas trip went, I just released a new vlog on my brand new channel called Ashley Frank Vlogs, and if you're interested in seeing how I did in the Lips Nevada State Championship Tournament here at South Point in Vegas, check out my other channel. It's vlog number 3, and it was a great weekend. I final tabled 2 events. Alright, so on to this tournament.
On break here of this bounty tournament, I made the final table, and now we're down to 8 people left. 4 spots pay $2,500, and I'm in for $300, which was the buy-in. So far, I've been coasting in this tournament, so let's see if we can keep it up.
2 hours later.
Alright, my first tournament of this Vegas trip, and I was in for $300, and we did a chop at the end, and I got $2,000, so I survived and made $2,000, which feels awesome to start the trip on a really nice win, honestly. So tomorrow we're gonna hit some more tournaments and see if we can't run this up even more.
Of course, after my Venetian win, I had to go celebrate at Tacos El Gordo for some amazing tacos, which if you haven't been there, man, you are missing out. Must try in Vegas on the Strip.
Alright, it is day 2 of Vegas, so first day went amazing, and super excited to get out there and play the Wynn $200 daily. I'm out. Just played 2 hands only.
So in this very first hand, there's a limp in early position, and I'm next to act and look down at Jack 10 offsuit. This should definitely just be a fold, but I was feeling spicy and wanted to play some hands, so I raised it up to $10. The guy to my left makes the call. The small blind, who had some very nice words to say about the vlog, who really appreciated my content, which, thanks man, that meant a lot. He says, "Do my cards want to make the vlog?" Looks down, flicks in $10, and I said, "I guess they do." Big blind folds and the limper calls, so we're going 4 ways to a flop of King King 5 rainbow. The small blind really wanted to be in the vlog, and so he leads out for $15. The lady to my right folds, and this bet is super sus as he shouldn't have very many leads here, and if we were heads up, I think I would raise and exploit this play, but as played, because there's still a gentleman next to act on my left, I decide to make the fold, and the guy to my left folds, and then the big blind shows ace-6 offsuit for a bluff, I guess. But anyway, nice hand, man, and thank you again for the kind words on the vlog, and we're gonna move on to the next hand. In this hand, there's 2 limps in early position, and I'm in the cutoff and look down at pocket kings. Since there's a couple limps and I don't want this hand to go multi-way, I decide on a raise size of $20. Sadly, nobody wants to tango with my pocket kings, but good news is we pick up a couple big blinds and our kings survive. In this hand, I didn't capture the footage because I was getting a massage, a much needed one I might add, so enjoy some table b-roll while we talk about this one. There's a raise under the gun to $10. It folds to me in the small blind and I look down at ace-queen offsuit. I like to mix here between calling and raising. My suited ace-queens are definitely going to 3-bet, but with this offsuit ace-queen and me feeling all nice and relaxed during my massage, I decide to flat. We go heads up to a flop of 8-6-5 with 2 clubs, and I do have the ace of clubs in my hand. I check, and I would expect to check a lot on this texture from the under the gun raiser, and sure enough, he does check. The turn is an offsuit 4, and for my exact hand, is this a great card? No. But for my range, is this a good card? Yes, as theoretically, I have way more straights here, sets, and 2 pairs, so I decide to turn my hand into a bluff, holding the ace club blocker here, and knowing that if I bet 2 streets, he's gonna have a very hard time calling with pretty much any holding in his range, so I decide to go for it. So I make a bet of $15, planning to bomb the river if he calls, but luckily for us, he puts in the fold, so our little bluff gets through. Alright, this hand was a bit of a weird one. There was a limp under the gun and next to me, and I looked down at ace-10 offsuit in the cutoff, and I raised to $15. Both limpers call, so we're heading 3 ways to a flop of 8-3 deuce with all clubs, and I do have the ace of clubs. They check it over to me, and with my positional advantage and my pre-flop aggression, holding the ace of clubs in my hand, I start betting and make it $15. Only the under the gun limper calls, so we're headed to a turn, which is the 10 of spades. He checks yet again, and our hand is value at this point with top pair, top kicker, and the nut flush draw, so I put out a bet of $35. He decides to put in an almost min-click raise to 80. I'm not gonna raise, I'm definitely not folding, so my only option here is to make the call, so we head to our river, which is the queen of spades. He leads into me for $125. At this point, I'm super confused as the only value hands he should have here are sets, flushes, and 2 pairs. I was the pre-flop aggressor, so I can also have some strong hands here, so for him to check raise turn and then lead into me out of position on the river, in these smaller games, I think I just need to let my hand go. I don't know, this was a very weird spot, especially holding the ace of clubs here, but I did decide to fold, and after seeing him play some other hands he played in a similar fashion, he did show up with a value hand, so maybe it was a good fold, I'm not sure. Weird spot. So now our stack is below 400, so I decide to top up and add on $100, so now our stack is at $482. In this hand, under the gun limps. The guy to my right in the cutoff, he raises to $15. I look down at Jack-9 of clubs on the button. This would be a sweet spot to put in a 3-bet, but I can also call, so I decide to flat. We go 3 ways to a flop of ace-king-5 with 2 clubs. Under the gun checks, the cutoff bets $25. I'm gonna make the call here with my flush draw, and under the gun also calls, so we're headed to a turn card. The turn, unfortunately, is no help to us. It's the 3 of diamonds. Under the gun checks, the cutoff goes all in for his remaining stack of $115. I make the fold here with just a flush draw. Under the gun limper folds as well, so we don't get to see what he had. So now we've lost yet another pot, and our chips are not headed in the right direction.
Taking a quick break here at the Wynn. It's tough to win a pot here today. Man, it's been a bit rough, so I'm hanging in there. I just topped up. I'm stuck about 200 bucks right now. Not ideal because I just busted the $200 tournament, so I would love to make some money today, and so far it's really hard to do that when you can't win a pot. So let's see if we can turn this around.
In this hand, there's a limp in the low jack. I'm next to act and look down at ace queen offsuit. I bump it up to $15. The guy to my left makes the call, and the original limper makes the call, and let me give you a little bit of background about him. He was V-pipping probably 90 to 95% of hands. I'd seen him shove all in on rivers with a short stack. He kept topping up for about $100 with like middle pair and things like that, just playing crazy. He was such a nice guy, but he definitely let us know he was there to gamble and have a good time. So that's a little bit of history on him, so let's head to a flop of ace 5-5. So right in the window, I see the ace, and I love it already. He checks to me, and I'm either way ahead or way behind here, but it's most likely I have them both crushed. Unless they have exactly an ace, I'm not sure what I'm getting value from, so I decided to be a little bit deceptive and check this one back, and the guy to my left checks as well, so we're headed to a turn card, which is the 4 of clubs. The guy to my right checks again. Now it's on me, and of course I'm going to start going for value here. I'm not really worried about too much. The only hand that really beats me right now is pocket fours, some kind of 5x combination, and if they have 2-3 here, then God bless them. So I put out a bet of $25, and they both make the call. So now we're headed to a river card, which is the 6 of hearts. I don't think this card particularly changes much, but to my surprise, the player to my right jams all in for about $147. Now I have to look at my hand, look at my range, and see how far up I am, and right now I think I'm pretty much at the stone top unless I somehow have a 5 here. I guess I can start considering folding some of my weaker ace-x combinations, as I do lose to some 2 pairs, 5x, and some full houses. But against this particular player, I just don't think I can find a fold with my hand, as it's pretty much at the top of my range, so I do put in the call. The player to my left folds, and I get shown 5 deuce offsuit. So like I said, he's capable of playing any 2, and we just get pretty unlucky there. I think any way this hand plays out, it's gonna end up the same, where he just gets to double up through me, and now we're stuck a little bit more money and hoping to end this session on a positive note. One of the reasons I hung around to play cash at the Wynn is my friend was running deep in the $200 daily tournament, the same tournament that I busted earlier on today. He had just walked over and told me he made the final table but busted in 8th place, so it was time to rack up and go eat some food. I told him I'd play a few more hands and then rack up, so this hand happened to be the very last hand that I played. I should have known better to not put my camera away before the last hand of the night happens, because this one ended up being the biggest pot I played on the entire trip, I believe. So the camera started recording a little over halfway through the hand. So there was a straddle to $6 on the button, and it folded all the way around past the button to me in the small blind, and I looked down at 10-9 offsuit. I don't really want to raise with this hand. I don't really want to fold either, so I decided to call. The big blind has other plans as he raises to $18. The button, the same loose player I was talking about in the previous hand, he makes the call for 18, and while I don't have a great hand, I am getting a decent price, so let's go see a flop with 10-9 offsuit. The flop is 8 Jack King rainbow. So we flop ourselves an open ender, although having the king out there isn't ideal. I check, and the original raiser in the big blind c-bets $25. The loose player on the button makes the call for 25, and I put in my $25, praying for only a 7 on the turn, as I don't really want to see a queen, as higher straights will have us beat. So I put in the call, and the dealer hears my prayers as the turn is a beautiful 7 of clubs, so we bink the straight. I'm really hoping to win some chips on this pot, as we are stuck in this game. I know the big blind has a decently strong hand, as he raises pre-flop from the big blind when he could have just checked and realized the equity of his hand, so I'm assuming he has somewhat of a strong hand. He also c-bets a king high, somewhat connected board into multiple players, so I'm gonna check and hope that he fires a bet, planning on check raising, so that's exactly what happens. I check, and he puts out a bet of $50. The button folds, so now it's on me, and I raise it up to 150. He goes into the tank and thinks for quite a while, and then finally puts in the call, and now I have the perfect amount left in my stack to make a shove on the river, so I'm praying for a pretty decent blank card. The river is actually a pretty great card. It's the ace of spades, and I say it's a great card because now he either has a set of kings, a set of aces, pocket jacks, or ace king, or at least that's what I think he has. I think he rarely shows up with queen 10 taking this line, so I'm pretty confident my hand is just the best hand at this point, and I'm just going to cooler this guy. So I go all in, and my opponent goes deep into the tank. He thinks for well over 2 minutes, and I'm loving it, but in my head I'm just praying for a call. He finally puts in the call and says, "Do you have a straight?" And I flip over my hand. He sees the bad news and we scoop a super nice pot to end this session. And man, does it feel good, because we were already stuck 200 from the tournament, came to the cash game to try and make some of that back, and now we are successful.
What a roller coaster, weird, not even a roller coaster, just what a weird session. Felt like I couldn't win a hand like for the first, hour or two, which is, pretty normal, but it sucks when you have good hands and you get sucked out on and things don't go my way. Did I have to call that river with my ace queen? No. Against that player, I think I definitely do. He plays any two, which of course puts every single 5x in his range. At the same time, he was betting for value with like marginal pairs, shoving with hands that were just not hands to shove with. So overall, I don't hate my call there, but at lower stakes, I usually just have it. So a little bit unfortunate. So we were in the game for 600. I cashed out with $744 for a profit of 144, which is amazing because I was in for $200 in the Wynn tournament that I busted. So overall, I cannot complain, especially on that last hand. Perfect river card. I felt like I knew exactly where I was at in the hand. So when that river card comes, I'm happy to shove, knowing I'm still getting called most likely by top two there, or second, like ace queen, stuff like that. So anyway, I'm gonna head to play some more poker, but overall, a decent day at the office. All right, it is day 3 here in Vegas, and I am off to get a workout in. Just had a nice little energy bowl for breakfast, and I gotta find the gym. I actually have no idea where it is, so I'm gonna figure this out. But yeah, so far the trip's been great. I'm up almost $1,400 in the last couple days, so great start to this trip, and hopefully I can get a nice workout in and then win some more tournaments tonight. So let's go.
In one of my very first playable hands, I look down at King 9 of diamonds in middle position and I raise it up to $10. Only the big blind calls, so we're going heads up to a flop. The player in the big blind I didn't know at the time, but was very new to poker, and I realized after this hand that he was still asking people what hand beats what, so he learned today that a full house beats a straight. So if I would have known this information before this hand, I would have played it differently. We go heads up to a flop of Queen 5-3 with 2 spades. He checks it over to me, and I'm gonna put pressure on this guy as I perceive him to be a pretty tight and passive player, so I c-bet $15. He makes the call, so we head to a turn card, which is the ace of spades. He checks it over, and this is a great card for me to continue barreling. Sure, my opponent can have some flushes, but so can I. I can't bet too big because my opponent can have some flushes, so I put out a bet of $30. My opponent looks very unsure, but he decides to make the call, so we head to a river, and it's a pretty bad card for me to continue barreling. It's another ace. So now, when my opponent checks it over to me, it's very unlikely that if he has a queen or any pair at this point really, or a flush, he's obviously not folding to a bet, so I decide to give up and check, and my opponent had pocket jacks. If I would have known earlier that he was very new to the game, I wouldn't have tried to bluff this type of player because they're just not folding, especially when he has a hand like pocket jacks. In his mind, he thinks it's a very, very good hand, regardless of what's on the board. So moving forward, I will play a little bit differently against him, but we do bluff off some money on our first hand. In this hand, there was a limp before me, and I looked down at the beautiful Cowboys pocket kings. I raise it up to $20. The small blind goes all in for less, the big blind calls, and the limper to my right makes the call, so we're going 4 ways to a flop with pocket kings. The flop is Queen 7 deuce with 2 hearts. We have a clear value spot here where we're going to bet On a queen high two-tone board, I don't think this is a board we're going to down bet, as my opponent can have a lot of queen X and flush draws, so I think about a half pot sizing is okay here. I think anything in that vicinity is nice, so I put out a bet of $50. My opponent to my left makes the call, so we're headed 3 ways to a turn card with one player already all in. The turn is a terrible card, it's the Queen of Spades. When my opponent makes the call here, he should have a lot of Queen X, so I check it over, and luckily for me, he checks it back. The river is the 3 of clubs. I try to go for value on the river and put out a bet of 50, but before I can even put all the chips out, my opponent on my left snap folds, so now it's between me and the player who was all in for less. I flip over my hand and he mucks, so we scoop a pretty nice pot here with the Cowboys. In this session, there wasn't very many exciting hands I played, so I'm trying to give you guys the most interesting hands. In this hand, there was a raise to $10 on my right, and I'm next to act, and I look down at pocket queens. I 3-bet to $35. She makes the call, so we're going heads up to a flop. The flop is 9-7-5 rainbow. She checks it over to me, and this isn't a range advantage board. This isn't a board I would always be betting, so I think I either want to check or bet on the bigger size, so I decide on a bet size of $40. She thinks for a little bit and then makes the fold, so we pick up a pretty unexciting pot, but hey, at least it's a win. It was like pulling teeth to get people to put money in the pot at this table, so I knew it was time to leave soon, as it was pretty difficult to win some money at this game, so this was one of the very last hands I played. There was 2 limps to my right, and I'm on the button and look down at ace deuce of diamonds. I want to get spicy and raise this one up, so I raise to $15. Only the under the gun limper calls, so we're going heads up to a flop of king, queen, jack, rainbow with 1 diamond. He checks it over to me, and I decide to put out a bet of $10. I'm not sure if this is a great bet size, but nonetheless, he makes the call, so we're headed to a turn card. The turn is the 4 of diamonds, so now we have a backdoor nut flush draw. He checks again, and I have ace high, probably near the bottom of my range here, and I did pick up some equity. I do block his strongest hands, although I don't think he limp calls with a hand like ace queen, but we do block some other stuff. We also block the nut straight with ace 10, so when he checks it over to me, I'm gonna bet on the bigger side, and I make a bet of $40, planning to bomb any river. He doesn't think very long before frustratingly and begrudgingly putting in a fold, so we do pick up our last pot in this session.
Alright, just ended a pretty freaking boring session at Wynn. I was in the game for 600, cashed out with 617 for a profit of a whopping $17. Granted, I didn't lose any money, which is awesome, but sucks that it was a pretty uneventful session. Even when I had big hands, I didn't make it past the flop, so overall today lost about $400 playing the tournament. If you liked the vlog, would you do me a huge favor and go all in and like, comment, and subscribe? It would mean the world to me. Remember, just getting started on this journey, and it's only up from here. I'll see you guys next time.